What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to iHeart Sports. Alex Hart here. Today is the day we're going to talk about the American League West. This is the third installment of our preview videos. So if you haven't checked out the AL Central, the AL East, make sure you go back and like those. If you're new to this channel, please drop a like, drop a subscribe. We're trying to grow this channel as big as we can. Get everyone in here that enjoys baseball as much as me, and just let's enjoy the season together. Like the prior videos, we're going to start from the bottom and work our way to the top based on projected wins by Las Vegas bookies out there. So with that being said, we're going to kick things off with the Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers are projected 67.5 wins this season. That puts them to be the second worst team in the American League, following the Baltimore Orioles. However, they will be number one in one thing. Opening day, they're the only team allowed across the MLB to be at capacity in their stadium. So they might lead the MLB in sellouts, at least for the beginning of the season, because they're looking to have a full capacity. It's been approved by the governor of Texas. When we pull up the Texas Rangers offense this year, it's nothing to write home about, that's for sure. They got, basically for me, two players of big note, Joey Gallo, David Dahl, and really those players are nothing to write home about, like I just said already. One important fact that I thought was very interesting is over the past 546 games, the Texas Rangers have had 19 different first basemen. This year it appears that Guzman has the position at least out of the gate, but they did make a trade with Tampa Bay for Nate Lowe, who projects to be a little bit better offensively, but defensive could be an issue. Chris Woodward, the manager, has said that he doesn't plan to keep a bench player that only plays one position, so like first baseman. So in this situation, whoever wins it going into the season, probably going to at least get a run at it for a little while. With such a weak potential team this season, the pitching is something that I'm a little bit excited to see. Most importantly, they're bringing back Kyle Gibson. He's going to be potentially their starter going in the season. Dane Dunning, Chicago White Sox prospect at one point who had a lot of promise, is now a part of this roster, and that's who really I'm going to be having my eyes on and looking to see what kind of steps, if any, he can take forward on what's to be an expected poor team. Mike Folty, a big player on part of the Atlanta Braves, also signed with them. So overall, their pitching doesn't seem to be their weak spot for sure. It's gonna be the offense, and what can they really pull out with this? It's gonna be tough to find out. Next up in the division, we have the Seattle Mariners. 71.5 wins projected for them this season, about 4 or 5 more than the Texas Rangers. Big thing for Seattle, they're still really not expected to be making a push for the playoffs. There's a lot of teams ahead of them, a lot in this division as well, that somewhat stronger. However, if there were 8 playoff spots, maybe they'd have a chance and we'd be talking about it. They're still dealing with a lot of different prospects that really haven't had a full season, and some of them missed last season. So this is really going to be the first chance we get to see them in their glory. Taking a look at their lineup here, J.P. Crawford, top of the lineup, Gold Glove winner last year. So realistically, it's the best they're going to do. They're going to hope he continues to do what he can do. Haniger's still in the lineup. They got Kyle Seager, who has been a staple of this team for quite some time. And then after that, honestly, most of these names are foreign to me, and I'm just going to assume that they're a part of these prospects that I keep hearing about and stuff like that. So if you're a Seattle fan, sorry I'm not giving you all the credit you deserve. Let me know some of these names that you might feel to be beneficial and that we want to talk about in the future. The starters for this team, a little bit more name recognition, at least for myself and other fans that aren't probably so in touch with the Seattle team. You got Marco Gonzalez, been on the team now a couple of years, and he looks to be the #1 starter heading into the season. James Paxton making his return to Seattle, so that's probably a pretty good signing for them, and at least a solid #2 now that they don't have Felix. They don't have those kind of guys that were on the team in the past, and they're trying to rebuild, and Paxton really fits into this kind of team. Mariner fans are hoping Sheffield can continue to do and improve on last season, and as well, we got a couple other names here, Justin Dunn and Flexen I'm not too familiar with, so I'm going to be making my eyes out on these guys and seeing what they can come. At the end of the day, Seattle's expectations fairly low, so just like last season, anything that comes from the season is going to be a pleasant surprise. If they go on that sort of winning streak like they did last year, they were a threat at some points, and they put up fights against people that were unexpected. They also got a lot of practice against all the AL and NL West teams last year, so maybe that paid off for them. Don't expect them to be too much in the hunt, but who knows? It's a long MLB season. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Anyone can really come out and surprise you in this kind of year. Brings us to the Los Angeles Angels, expected to be third in the American League West, 83 projected wins. But really, is that enough to bring them over the top? There is going to be a boatload of teams competing for those wild card spots, and if they're only projected third, that means they're going to be fighting for those wild card spots. There's only going to be 5 spots this season, and with 9 potential teams fighting for those wild card spots, the Angels can't afford to be that team on the outside looking in again. Considering they have one of the best players in baseball in Mike Trout, he's turning 30 this year. Time is running out, and they've tried to build a team around him. If we take a look at their lineup, it's a lot of the same. Anthony Rendon from last year, big signing. They'll have the whole season of him in there this season. Ohtani, whether he's able to be the pitcher that they signed on for, let alone the bat. Like, the injuries have been too much for this team with him. Justin Upton, he's got a lot of power, but what else can he bring to the table? Albert Pujols, on his way out, slowly getting worse and worse every year. But they did bring in Dexter Fowler, Jose Iglesias. This lineup is solid. They should be able to compete on a daily basis, and 83 wins as a projected, they need to do better than that. I guess what it's really going to take for them to get over that hump, and what's been a big struggle for them over all these years, is their pitching. So bringing that up, they've tried to address it this season. Dylan Bundy, he was amazing last season, but is he going to be able to pull it off again? They really need him to. They need that ace to step up for them if they're going to have a good season. I speak for all Angels fans here when they're tired of missing the playoffs. They're needing them to make the playoffs this year. Even as not like a straight up Angels fan, just a fan of baseball, I want to see Mike Trout in the playoffs. They added Alex Cobb, Jose Quintana, 2 free agent pitchers that are probably one of the most underrated kind of free agent players signings that they could have gotten. So they got to be happy about that. Ohtani, big question mark for them on the pitching. He was signed by the Angels because of his pitching. The batting was supposed to be secondary, but it turned out to be the other way around. So if they can get back to the way it was supposed to be, I think the Angels have a big potential to take some steps forward. Even though they're projected third, watch out. They could very easily compete for the top spot in this division. Number 2, projected 86.5 wins, we have the Oakland A's. Oakland is bringing back a lot of the same players as they did last season. After winning the West 2 years in a row, they're looking for the three-peat. Even though they're projected second, I think this is going to be a final push for them, because quite possibly they're going to be losing some of their core going forward. As we all know, Oakland's kind of famous for the Moneyball video, and money always kind of seems to be an issue when you're dealing with the Oakland franchise. A lot of their players are on expiring deals, or they're heading to arbitration next year, so it's going to be tough for them to be able to keep this core together. Chapman, Olsen, Kana. If we take a look here at their starting lineup projected, they added Mitch Moreland in the offseason. They got Piscotty, Tony Kemp, Ramon Laureano, who was famous last season, a couple robbed home runs. Their lineup's a lot of the same, and a lot of the power that potentially they could be losing, at least not being able to afford going into the next season. Last season, the biggest issue for Oakland was their bullpen. They had the largest ERA out there of the entire majors in the bullpen, so they did address that this offseason. As you can see, they added Trevor Rosenthal. They got Sergio Romo. Like, they're trying to improve this, and from the statistics, it looks like they really did. Otherwise, they're bringing back the exact same rotation as before. They got Chris Bassett, Lazardo, Montez, Manea, Fires, all the same guys as last year that got them to the got them to be the AL West champions. So really, are they taking a step forward? Well, possibly not. The bullpen is better though, so to me, they're going to be very similar to last season. But really, it's their last chance. So having that extra light under them might push them over the edge. And like I talked about with the Angels, those Angels are nipping at their heels. Even though the projection is that they got 4 games on them, it's a 3-horse race. The Oakland A's can't take anything lightly, and if they suffer some sort of injuries to this rotation, to me, it's all but over for them. So they better come out swinging. They better come out pitching. It's going to be a battle down the stretch. That leaves us with the favorites being the Houston Astros. Projected 87 wins over this season. It's the lowest amount of wins of all the division leaders in the American League. However, they're similar to the Oakland A's in that they're potentially running out of time with their team here. Their owner has kind of not shown that he's willing to commit more money to improve this team, and quite a few players on this team are coming to an end this season. Possibly Correa, Verlander, Greinke, McCullers, all out of contracts by the end of the year, and if those aren't replaced, those are big blows to them. Let's take a look at their lineup and break it down. Jose Altuve, we all know him. He's still here for a long contract. He struggled last season, though. If he needs to turn it back around for this team to have any sort of chance. Bregman, Correa, also 2 guys that struggled throughout the season. They need them to step up again. They got Michael Brantley, who's always been solid. Like, the lineup itself is quite solid, but you will notice one big hole. I don't know if it can be filled. George Springer, no longer on this team. He is a Toronto Blue Jay. Instead, they're bringing in a man named Miles Straw. Personally, I haven't heard of him before today. They've had their chance to get different center fielders and Jackie Bradley Jr., Kevin Pillar possibly, but they chose that they're going to go this way, and that kind of goes in line with what I was saying. The owner wasn't really willing to spend a little bit of extra money here. With Verlander out for the season with Tommy John surgery and his contract being over at the end of the season, possibly we won't see him again in the lineup. But let's take a look at the rest of their pitchers. They got Greinke at the top of the lineup. I don't think he's expected to be the starter on opening day this season. According to this, it is, but I don't think he is because he was asked to comment and he doesn't care. Lance McCullers, Urquidy, he was very solid for them last year. Odorizzi, new part of the lineup, and Javier, 5th starter. They're missing 2 starters from what they would normally have with Valdez and Verlander, so I've touched on it again. It's going to be a really tight race, and the Angels at least have something to be happy with. These 2 teams ahead of them that were projected appear to be really on their last pull. So if they can't pull it together and they don't go out there and sign more people, and the Angels have a year this year, they have the potential to really set themselves up for a long haul. If you had to ask me and I had to take a prediction here, I wouldn't have had the Astros at the top. I would actually just, looking at paper, considering they have the best player in the league, and the Astros and the A's, they're unproven, like, with these new things. The Astros have won the World Series, but that was all with the garbage can gate or whatever you want to call it. So Angels, this is their division to me. If you're going to ask me for a prediction, I'm going to take the Angels to win this division. Thanks. That wraps up the American League West. I appreciate you guys if you took the time and watched through this whole video. I appreciate it all the way through. Please, again, drop a like if you enjoyed the content. Drop a dislike if it was crap and you never want to see my face again. And please subscribe. Even if you dislike, give me a subscription. You won't forget it. We're going to be hitting this baseball content all season long. And I'm just hoping to hear from all sorts of people from all over North America, their favorite teams, what they think about their teams, and just helping me expand my knowledge here in the baseball world. Until next time, Alex Hart here. Peace out.